So today we've been spending a lot of time talking about chemicals and liquid chemical de-icers for snow and ice control, and we've made reference many times to temperature ranges in which different chemicals are effective, in which they work and which they don't work. It's important to understand that the temperature range that we're referring to is not air temperature, but surface temperature, the surface temperature that we are treating. In my opinion, surface temperature is one of the most critical pieces of information available to us to help us make good decisions in what we're doing with our treatment timing and our treatment application and the treatment selection. So that being said, we readily have air temperature information available to us. We see it reported on weather forecasts. We see it reported on the local bank sign temperature gauge. Today we even have air temperature information on our dashboards and our vehicles and on our cell phones. But when we're thinking about surface temperature information, there's some different tools that are required. Why? Because it's not information that is readily available. When we're thinking about surface temperature information, some of the ways that we can find that information, some of the tools available to us to help us find that information so that we can make good decisions would be by sensors that are available on the market. There are handheld sensors. There are sensors that can be vehicle mounted. A typical handheld sensor I magically happen to have here is very easy to use. You simply can take the handheld sensor, you can point it. It's infrared. The information it reads, it's going to read back to you the surface temperature of whatever it happens to be directed on. There's a few things to remember. Again, with all tools have limitations. Some of the limitations of the handheld unit that we have to be reminded of are, number one, this unit's going to give you the temperature of whatever it's hitting. Another thing to remember is that not all of these units are made the same. Not all of these units are equal. Some of the shortcomings may be that there are some of these types of units that were specifically designed to be used indoors. So they were never created to be used outdoors in the cold environment. So some of these temperatures can be very, very sensitive to the environment in which they're being used. So you need to make sure that if you're going to use a handheld unit, that you use a handheld unit that is designed for the environment in which you're using it. Another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of times these types of units will have to acclimate to their environment. So if in the wintertime it's on your truck seat and you choose to use it outside to measure a surface temperature, it typically can take somewhere up to 20 minutes for one of these units to acclimate to the out of doors. So it's just the limitations of the tool. So make sure when you're using this kind of a temperature handheld measuring gun that you know what those limitations are. So what's another type of way that we could measure surface temperatures on the areas that we're working on? There are a number of great products out there that are vehicle mounted sensors. The truck behind me has a vehicle mounted sensor called a road watch. This sensor is easily installed, it's readily available, and is very accurate. The sensor part of the gauge is actually mounted on the underside, the front underside of the truck, and inside the cab we see a readout that gives us both ambient air temperature and surface temperature. So the driver will know, or the operator will know immediately when they're in the vehicle what the surface temperature is, which is a critical piece of information when we're trying to decide to treat, not to treat, or if our treatment needs to be changed up. Last but not least, there are also other tools available to us. Most of the state DOTs and some of the larger municipalities around the country have systems called Road Weather Information Systems, or RWIS for short. These RWIS systems collect information, atmospheric data, subsurface data, and surface temperature information in many, many locations, and there may be one such system available to you for use in your area. If there is, you can find it through your local government websites. And some caution, a word of caution on the use of these tools. While they do give you very good, timely information, you need to make sure that the information you're looking at is indeed accurate and correct. So if you're expecting to see a surface temperature somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 and it tells you it's 50, well, it may be broke, so you would not want to trust it. Another thing to think about when you're looking at these systems, that just because you have readings in your local area on your surfaces of a certain degree or a certain temperature, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of the surfaces in your area are going to be that specific temperature, but it is a good indicator. In addition to the government sites, there are available through the industry mobile RWIS instrumentation that can be purchased and used, and there are site-specific sensors that can be purchased and used. So at the end of the day, it's important to see what tools are available to us, know what works best for us, and what we can put in our toolbox to help make good decisions.